So recently I have been seeing a lot of amazing hand UI on social media, and I think today I want to throw my hat in the ring. Now, being able to create this kind of stuff in Unity in the past has been kind of my go-to, but if you guys don't know me by now, I work at Bezi and I create design tools for XR designers. And I've been working on a tool called the Body Rig, and right now it's in beta, but pretty soon it's going to be solid enough to start making more complex things for the human body. Anyway, recently I saw Oleg Frolovs hand UI on LinkedIn, and I was like, you know what, I think I can make that. I think I can iterate on it a little bit as well. His stuff is so good. Seriously, Oleg, your shit is absolutely incredible. But I think part of being a really good designer is being able to take another concept, iterate upon it, and just, play with it yourself and put your own spin. So that's what I'm gonna be doing today. I'm gonna go through my process of taking a simple concept, iterating on it, and making it in Bezi so all of you can play with it today. Yeah, should be available today on bezel.it. Now, if you like this kind of video, well, let me know with a like, subscribe. If you want to learn how to do a full-on tutorial on this, let me know with a comment down below. Yeah, so let's go home and build some shit. Okay, so the first thing we're gonna wanna do is essentially look at Oleg's awesome work and see exactly what he's doing so we can replicate it. Now, if you're not familiar with Oleg's work, he's an amazing designer out of the UK, and he currently works at Live, which is a streaming tool for people who want to VTube, mix AR and VR realities and stream things in real time. But the thing that got me most excited was this hand control that he released recently. And it's pretty elegant and optimal at the same time, so it's going to be relatively accessible for a lot of people to design. So if we look at this individually, let's break it down. So he has 3 buttons that come out from the hand. These buttons have a primary, a secondary, and a tertiary state. But the thing that really got me excited was this minimal hand control he had here. It's, very elegant, smooth, and I think it's pretty accessible for a lot of people to design, so that's why I want to replicate it. So let's break this down a little bit, shall we? So when we start off, as you see right here, he's going to have this on to off stage where these things will come into scene view. So that's a really nice transition. And they also fly into view. So let's see how that works again. So he hides it all and they stagnate out really, really nicely. See that again? Lovely. Now, this isn't going to be too difficult to do, but it's a really, really nice transition to hide UI when a trigger has been made, which is the turning of the palm, which we can do. That's going to be relatively easy to do. The next thing I really, really like about this prototype is that there's very minimal assets. This means low composite work on this project. So let's see how this works. So as you see right now, he has these objects come out, and they're going to have essentially 3 states. You have a default state, an active state, and a hover state. So this is also really, really relatively easy to play with. He also played around with a little bit, if we see that right here, this little icon switch. I think maybe this was a bug or something, because I think that all of them should have that kind of animation, but it's relatively pretty cool. Now, the next thing I want to point out here is the smooth motion around his hand axis. And this is really, really cool because it gives this sense of order, but also, makes everything feel really, really liquidy. I think this is really, really awesome. Now, before I dive into actually iterating upon his concept, I want to build Oleg's work from the ground up. And this is going to allow me to understand all the nuances of how to build his little machine here. And it will give me insight of what I can iterate on. So with that said, I've already composited some buttons at a minimum of 60 by 60. I may scale down a little bit. We'll see how it feels inside of headset. And I've grabbed every one of these icons from the Noun project, which is an amazing tool. I highly suggest you get it and pay for a yearly subscription. It's actually relatively cheap and will save you a lot of time, especially if you prototype. Now, each one of these buttons, if we look in here, is comprised of an icon, a backstroke, and a solid back. And so I'm going to start ripping these apart and compositing them inside of Bezi. So yeah, let's time lapse that. So this composition and button animation took around about an hour, hour and a half to get right. As you see in the video, I'm wearing a headset and I'm basically testing this hit area all the time. So let's take a look at what I did. So as you see here, I have 3 buttons. They're all based off of each other. They have, a multiple different states. So if I take all of these and switch them to base, and if we look at, say, this back right here, it's around 32 millimeters. Now, Apple wants you to have at least 66 millimeters, I believe, for direct touch. And because this is 32 and I needed a larger hit area, what I did is I added a collider to this. And inside of this collider, I added around 8 millimeters on each side. So that gets me around 56 or almost 60 millimeters hit area. And let's take a look at all of these icons together, and I can just switch the states. So on default, they show up like this. On hover, they shoot up, right? So basically what I did here is that I gave a 2 millimeter to 4 millimeter difference between each individual layer. And as they change states, for instance, to hover, I just multiplied that by 2, and that gives it a nice little punchy behavior. And then if I open this up right here, what we're going to see is that I have a spring out animation, so it's going to be a little bit more punchy. Now, I'm not going to get into every little nitty-gritty detail of this. I think that there's going to be a tutorial coming up about this specific prototype. So if you want to see it, let me know with a comment down below. But fundamentally, I believe that we're in a good position now to start adding these buttons to our wrist. Now, I've already done this, so I'll save you the montage of me working in high speed, and we can just dive into it. So let's take a look at what I did here, shall we? So if we look at my rig right now, I have a lot going on. Again, we know where the buttons are. We understand how big they are. We know they have the colliders on them. So if we look at what I have here on the wrist, I have these final targets and initial targets. I took them out of the hand for the time being so I can just show you. And these targets right here are going to be how these buttons are positioned. Now, these targets will need to be nested within the hand controller. So if I turn back on the rig, as you see, they are now nested for the hand. So if I take the rig, for instance, and move it, they're going to move along with it. The next thing I did is I added 2 collider boxes up here. If I can come in here and I change the opacity of this one, and if I go here and change the opacity of this one, when my hand rotates, this box is going to hit this box and it's going to trigger whatever animation I desire. And the next thing I did was I took my buttons and I made sure that they are outside of the hand. But because I want to easily position them, I'm going to drag them in here and I'm just going to zero them out. Cool. And then I'm going to drag them out so I can just get that easy positioning. Now I can just take these buttons and move them down here. So the reason why I have these buttons unparented and moved to the hand position is for a couple of different reasons. The first reason is that when you use a behavior to parent or find another object like follow, there is an amount of distance the object needs to take on load. So I want them to get as close as they possibly can to the hand. Now, the reason why they're not parented to the hand or nested within the hand is because they need to have world orientation. And if you nest it within the rig, there's going to be all kinds of like distortion or weirdness for rotation. So that's why they are not parented within the hand. So after these have been parented and everything like that, as you can see right now, these buttons are moving to these specific target locations. And I'm doing that in a couple different ways. First, I have these individual behaviors right here on all of the buttons, and they're switching based on states. So on hide mode, they're down here, show, they're up here. And basically what I'm doing is I'm taking this hand trigger out and hand trigger in, which are the 2 boxes I showed you, this box and that box. And basically when this collider hits this collider, it switches over. And then when it exits that collider, it switches back. If I then open up individual buttons right here, I'm using the same trigger as those 2 boxes to actually hide them. So to change the opacity of the individual assets of the button in general. Now, the reason why I'm doing this is because at the moment, the follow behavior has this thing called smoothing, which is giving it that liquidy feel when we move around. And that is kind of battling with the state machine a little bit. So I needed to separate them apart so they wouldn't fight. And if we look right here as well, if we, for instance, go to this trigger out, and if we go to this timeline, you can see all of these buttons are stagnated, so they will pop out individually. Cool? So with everything done here, that's basically it. So let's test it out and see if it works. So as you see right now, nothing's here. And if I turn, there they are. Now, it doesn't have any occlusion here, but if I tap and watch this one, whoop, whoop, and I do like the little cog spin that he had, and if I bring it back, they disappear. Now, if I wanted to have occlusion, we don't currently have occlusion built in for like hands. It's a little bit more difficult, but if I show hands in, as you see, if I restart, so it has occlusion there. So if I go back, they're gone. Nice. Okay, so that looked pretty darn good. The Quest 3 makes everything look so awesome. I highly suggest you get one if you have the cash. Now, I took Oleg's concept and I tried to do this in multiple different ways, and I think that this parent-follow relationship for hand UI is probably the easiest. The majority of the time will be spent on compositing, especially if you know how to make it now. Anyway, so I took this concept and I wanted to put my own spin on it and evolve upon it a little bit. So let's take a look what I have here. So I usually put 15 minutes on the clock and I do a bunch of like iteration. And let's not pay attention to this. I was trying to figure out how to use Firefly in the AI to create hands, and it just wasn't working. So I have this concept here where I have a hand. When I rotate it, I have these little circles appear. As soon as I select one, I have to rotate my hand over, and then I can switch different panels, so to speak. Now, this concept was really interesting, but I learned a lot of what not to do, and we'll talk about that in a second. Again, I'm not going to walk you through how I built everything, but I kind of just want to give you an oversight of how I did it. So here, the layout is kind of similar, but different in many ways. Here I have my panels and I have my states. So they turn on and off as these move. As you see, very similar, but this time everything is nested inside of the hands. I have these initial buttons. Now again, these buttons will have a look at function, so they will always be facing the right direction. When I select this little camera button, this little bracelet appears. Now, I was looking at games like the Light Brigade and stuff like that, and a lot of the stuff they had in that game, especially for hand UI, was always located on the back. But what I found that's really interesting during this whole process is that having controllers on the back of your hand doesn't make much sense after I tried this out. You live and you learn. And when I was playing the Light Brigade, a lot of the UI they had in the back of the hand was purely about getting some stats and not necessarily about controls. But as you see on the back of the hand, I have these buttons that will actually navigate these panels. So let's take a look at that and break that down, and I'll give you my retrospect. Okay, so now I am in the headset. So let's take a look at this prototype. So I rotate my hand. I basically have this right here. I see this bracelet. I rotate, places a panel in front of me. I hit a button and then I hit the middle and it expands, and I could theoretically walk around this. So let's break this down real quick. So if I rotate my hand, these buttons are actually parented to my hand, so I'm not using any behaviors. I think I'm using a look at behavior, but that's basically it. It's not like a follow or anything like that. So as you see, it's gonna be moving around. If I move around my hand, it's not gonna untrigger unless if I hit that X, then it's gone. But if I rotate again, it's up. And if I hit this, I'm gonna get this bracelet. Now, the thing that I realized a lot when it comes down to UI that's hidden like in the back of your hand, there's no good way to signify that it exists. So, click out here. So what I did is I created this target system. I have it kind of parented to my body. And when I rotate it, when that collider hits that back collider, this pops up, and then I can then expand, and there we go. I think like this is pretty cool. Like it's kind of jankety, like aesthetically, I think it's really jankety, but I think it's fine for now. I think there's a lot of like tweaking I would want to do. Let's see it one more time. If I bring it up, trigger that, rotate, position, push, push. Not bad, right? I think it looks actually pretty rad. Let's jump out of here. Okay, so I think that this was a lot of fun to build, but I made a lot of mistakes, like a lot of mistakes. You guys saw a finished version of a concept that took me a long time to get to where I wanted it. And at the end of the day, I realized that I will never be designing controllers on the back of a hand ever again. At least not at the top here. Ergonomically, it just doesn't work. You know, honestly, XR design, especially body UI, is so new that it takes a lot of failure and it takes a lot of practice and just kicking the tires on this kind of UI to find what works. And so I feel very blessed that I've been able to have a product that allows me to do that. And speaking of, I think I'm going to create a tutorial on Oleg's prototype because I think it's pretty accessible and it gets people used to parenting things to the human body, using behaviors and stuff like that. So if you want that, that's coming soon. But if you can't wait, and if you decided that you want to build it, I would love to see the outcome or what you can change on it and make it your own. So please join the XRD Discord, link down below, and show us your work. And speaking of, this video is a lot of fun. I'm not sure if I went deep enough or I went too deep. I don't know. If you like this, let me know with the comment down below. My work will get better as time goes on. Like any other craft, it's just a learning process. Anyway, take care, everyone. Love you. Thanks for watching, and plus minus.